All right, so today we're diving deep into Andhra Pradesh.
Sounds fascinating.
It is. We've got some really cool stuff to work with. Sources that give us like a real in-depth look at this state on the southeastern coast of India.
Okay, so we're talking about a specific region in India. Got it.
Yep, and it's not just any region. We're talking about the 8th largest state in India by area.
Wow, 8th largest. That's pretty substantial.
Right, and it's the 10th largest by population, so it's definitely a significant place.
So it's big in terms of land mass, and it's got a pretty substantial population.
Exactly. And when you have that kind of scale, you just know there are going to be so many stories and insights to uncover, right?
Absolutely. When you've got that many people, that much land, history is bound to be pretty rich.
And our material doesn't disappoint. One of the first things that jumped out at me was this unique situation with the capitals.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
So it's got Amaravati, which is designated as the legislative capital.
Okay, so that's where the laws are made.
Right. But then there's Visakhapatnam, often called Vizag, and that's really the state's business and cultural hub.
Interesting. So they've kind of split those key functions between two different cities.
Yeah, it's not something you see everywhere, so it makes you wonder, what's the thinking behind that?
It definitely raises some questions about how that dynamic works in practice.
For sure. And it's not just about administration and politics, Our sources really paint a picture of this place that's just bursting with history and culture and these incredible natural landscapes.
That's what always gets me excited, those hidden gems and the stories behind them.
So before we get into all that, let's just lay down some basic facts, just to set the scene.
Yeah, give us the overview, the lay of the land.
Okay, so we're talking about an area of roughly 163,000 square kilometers.
All right, so that's the size. Pretty big.
And based on the 2011 census, we're looking at a population of over 49 million people.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. And of course, the official language is Telugu.
Makes sense. Distinct region, distinct language.
Right. And in terms of their economy, it seems like they're doing pretty well. Agriculture, manufacturing, services, they've got it all going on.
So a well-rounded economy. That's good to hear.
Yeah, and here's a little tidbit for you. They're known as the Rice Bowl of India.
The Rice Bowl of India. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, as you might have guessed, they are a major rice producer.
Makes sense. So not just a rice bowl for Andhra Pradesh, but contributing to the whole nation.
Exactly. Now, here's how our sources break down the state, which I found really helpful. They've got 26 districts, and these are grouped into 3 main regions.
All right, so it's like chapters in a book. 3 distinct parts of the state.
That's a great way to put it. So we've got coastal Andhra, Rayalaseema, and North Andhra. And we're going to touch upon some of the key spots in these regions, just to give you a taste of what they're all about.
Sounds like a plan. Where do we start?
Well, I think it makes sense to begin with coastal Andhra, right there by the sea.
Yeah, let's soak up that coastal vibe.
So the first place that caught my eye was East Godavari, specifically Kakinada.
East Godavari, Kakinada. Okay, what's special about it?
Well, for starters, they've got those beautiful beaches, which are always a draw.
Who doesn't love a good beach? All right.
Exactly. But what's particularly cool is the Karinga Wildlife Sanctuary.
Oh, a wildlife sanctuary. That sounds promising. What kind of wildlife were we talking about?
It's mainly known as a haven for migratory birds. So all these birds from different parts of the world, they make their way here.
So it's a crucial stop on their long journey.
Yeah. And it makes you think about how important places like this are for their survival, right?
Absolutely. Provides them with the resources they need, a place to rest and refuel.
Right. Okay, so moving along the coast, we hit Krishna District and the city of Vijayawada.
Vijayawada, okay, I've heard of that. What's there?
Well, the highlight here seems to be the Kanaka Durga Temple. And get this, it's situated right on top of a hill.
A hilltop temple. That sounds impressive. I bet the views are amazing.
Our source says the views are panoramic. You can see the whole city and the Krishna River from up there.
Wow. Can you imagine performing your religious rituals with that kind of scenery in the backdrop?
Yeah, it must be something else. And it's interesting because in India, hilltop temples often have this kind of dual significance.
Like what?
Well, they're spiritual centers, of course, but they are often strategically important as well, right?
Oh, yeah, I can see that. High ground, good visibility, perfect lookout point.
Right. Okay, next stop on our coastal tour is Guntur district, and its key location is Amaravati.
Amaravati. Now, that name rings a bell. Why is that?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Amaravati is the proposed capital of Andhra Pradesh.
Oh, so this is the city of the future.
In a way, yeah, but what makes it even more fascinating is that it's also an ancient Buddhist site.
Wait, so it's a modern capital and an ancient site all rolled into one?
Yep. With ruins and sculptures that date back over 2,000 years, it's like this incredible blend of the ancient and the modern all in one place.
That's wild. So you could be walking down a street in the proposed capital and stumble upon some ancient Buddhist artifact.
I know, right? It's pretty mind-blowing. Okay, let's move on to Prakasam district. Their notable place is Ongole, and it's known for two things: a bustling cattle market and the Chennakesava Swami temple.
So you've got the commerce and the culture side by side.
Yeah, it's a cool glimpse into the daily life and traditions of this place.
You can almost picture it, right? The energy of the marketplace, the serenity of the temple.
Totally. All right, on to Srikakulam district and Arasavali, which is home to an ancient sun temple.
A sun temple, huh? I'm guessing that's not something you see every day.
Nope. Our source says it's one of the very few of its kind in India.
Oh, wow. So it must be pretty special.
Definitely. It immediately makes you want to know more, like what makes it so unique.
Yeah, what sets it apart from other temples, and why aren't there more sun temples in India?
Great questions. Okay, so of course, no exploration of coastal Andhra would be complete without mentioning Visakhapatnam, or Vizag, as it's often called.
Right, the business and cultural hub we talked about earlier.
Exactly. And the place to be seems to be RK Beach. It's described as this popular spot with beautiful scenery, perfect for a relaxing day by the sea.
Sounds like a classic beach destination.
And if you want to get a bird's eye view of it all, you can head up to Kailasagiri Hill. Apparently, the views of the coastline from up there are spectacular.
Okay, now that's something I'd definitely put on my itinerary.
Me too.
All right, moving right along, we come to West Godavari and the town of Bhimavaram.
Bhimavaram. Okay, what's the story there?
It's known for its historical significance, but also because it's close to Kolleru Lake.
Just a lake.
Not just any lake. Kolleru Lake is one of the largest freshwater lakes in India.
Seriously, that's huge.
It is. And with a lake that size, the biodiversity must be incredible.
Absolutely. All kinds of plants and animals calling that place home.
Okay, and finally for coastal Andhra, we've got Nellore District and the Nelapattu Bird Sanctuary.
Another bird sanctuary. Looks like Andhra Pradesh as a popular spot for our feathered friends. It really does. They must love the Andhra Pradesh coastline.
So that wraps up coastal Andhra. What's next?
Next, we head inland to Rayalaseema, which has its own unique character.
Inland. So we're leaving the beaches behind.
For now. Rayalaseema is made up of 4 districts: Anantapur, Chittoor, Kadapa, and Kurnool.
4 districts, each with its own story to tell about.
And sure. So let's start with Anantapur and its star attraction, Lapakshi, with the Virabhadra temple.
Lapakshi and the Virabhadra temple. Okay, what makes them stand out?
Well, the temple is known for its beautiful murals, but there's something else that's really intriguing. They have this large hanging pillar.
A hanging pillar. What do you mean?
It's a pillar that doesn't quite touch the ground.
What? How does that even work?
I know, right? It's this architectural marvel that makes you wonder about the engineering skills of the people who built it.
There must be some cool stories and legends associated with it, too.
Oh, I'm sure there are. All right, next up in Rayalaseema is Chittoor district, which boasts 2 very significant places, Tirupati and Tirumala.
Tirupati and Tirumala. Those names sound familiar. Why are they so important?
Well, Tirupati is considered one of India's most famous pilgrimage destinations.
Ah, that's why I've heard of it. It's a religious center.
Exactly. It's home to the highly revered Venkateswara temple. And then Tirumala itself is another globally renowned pilgrimage center known for the Sri Venkateswara Swami temple.
Wow, so it's like a pilgrimage hub, drawing people from all over.
It is. Millions of devotees flock there every year.
It's amazing. The spiritual energy in those places must be palpable.
I can only imagine. Okay, in Kadapa district, our source highlights Brahmangari Matham.
Brahmangari Matham. What's that all about?
It's a famous pilgrimage center as well, but known for its ancient temples and a very serene atmosphere.
So it's a place for spiritual reflection and connecting with history?
Yeah, it seems like a place where you could really find some peace.
I could use a bit of that. Okay, what's the last stop in Rayalaseema?
The last stop is Kurnool district, specifically Srisailam, which has a really cool duality to it.
Duality. How so?
It's both a well-known hill station, so beautiful nature and cooler temperatures, and a major pilgrimage site with the Srisailam temple dedicated to Lord Shiva.
Oh, wow. So you get the best of both worlds. nature and spirituality.
Yeah, it's a unique combination.
I like that. All right, so we've covered coastal Andhra and Rayalaseema. What's left?
Our final regional stop is North Andhra. But here's the thing. Our source only highlights one district in this region, which makes you wonder if they just didn't have a lot of information or if there's something unique about North Andhra as a whole.
Yeah, it makes you curious. Like, what defines this region that sets it apart from the others?
Totally. So that one district is Vizianagaram, and the place to see is the Vizianagaram Fort.
A fort, huh? I always find those so fascinating. Those old walls have seen so much history.
It's described as a historic fort that provides real insight into the region's royal past. You know, those stories of kings and queens and all the drama that unfolded.
And those forts always have such incredible architecture, those intricate details and craftsmanship.
Totally. Okay, and our source also mentions Chilakalira Pit and its famous lake, but it doesn't say exactly which region it falls under.
So it's a bit of a mystery where it fits in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, which just goes to show you that these regional classifications can sometimes be a bit fluid, you know?
It's not always clear-cut. There can be overlaps or complexities.
Exactly. Okay, so just to recap, Andhra Pradesh is divided into these three regions. Coastal Andhra, with its 8 districts, East Godavari, Krishna, Guntur, Prakasam, Srikakulam, Visakhapatnam, West Godavari, and Nellore. Then we've got Rayalaseema, with its 4 districts, Anantapur, Chittor, Kadapa, and Kurnool. And finally, North Andhra, which in our source is represented by Vizianagaram.
It's a helpful way to visualize the different parts of the state and to understand the diversity within Andhra Pradesh.
Exactly. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Andhra Pradesh, it's clear that this state, located on India's southeastern coast, is a pretty big deal.
Big in size, big in population, and clearly big in terms of its history and culture.
Absolutely. Amaravati is set to be the legislative capital, and then there's Visakhapatnam, the bustling cultural and business center.
And let's not forget its role as the rice bowl of India,
Yeah.
a major contributor to the nation's food supply.
Right. And we got to explore a bit of its diverse landscape, from those beautiful coastal areas to the inland regions with their hill stations and ancient temples. We saw ancient Buddhist sites, wildlife sanctuaries, beaches, forts, and some of the most important pilgrimage destinations in India. It's just an incredible mix of everything.
It's amazing how the geography shapes the culture, you know. From the coast to the hills, each region has its own unique flavor.
It really does. And it makes you think about how all of that, the geography, the history, all of it comes together to create the Andhra Pradesh we see today.
And for all our listeners out there, I'm curious, what piqued your interest the most?
Yeah. Are you now fascinated by the mystery of the hanging pillar in Lapakshi? Or maybe you want to delve deeper into the history of those ancient Buddhist ruins in Amaravati. There's so much to discover, so much to learn.
It's a reminder that every place has its own unique story.
That's so true. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Andhra Pradesh. We hope you enjoyed the journey as much as we did.